One was electrocuted on stage mid-performance. Another collapsed in front of thousands of screaming fans.
Suspect's going to be a male white wearing a dark-colored hockey jersey. Shots still being fired.
And one more, taken by a freak accident no one could have predicted.
You know, growing up as a child, I had to just learn. I couldn't do certain things like other kids. If I overworked my body, I was a little different.
These aren't rumors. They're the shocking realities behind music's most tragic losses. This is 20 Worst Ways Musicians Have Died.
Cierto es que no pito. Ay, ay, ay.
Whose silence is a song, and why does it echo louder after? Dawn in Santiago, September 12th, 1973. Buses hiss outside Estadio Chile as soldiers herd detainees inside. Among them is Victor Jara, 40, teacher, Nueva Canción folk hero, Allende's ally. Witnesses recall wrists stomped, ribs kicked, his voice, split-lipped, still pushing out, "Venceremos." 4 days later, his bullet-riddled body is dumped near a city morgue. The stadium would one day carry his name. Decades on, courts move. In 2023, Chile's Supreme Court upheld long prison terms for ex-soldiers tied to his murder, and that December the U.S. expelled former officer Pedro Barrientos to face trial in Santiago. The city feels different now, but the question lingers in the concrete. How many hands tried to break his and failed to stop the song? He sang for justice. The crowd still answers back. A doorbell at 4 a.m., a stairwell flickering with Oslo's blue hall lights. What argument ends with 23 knife wounds? On August 10, 1993, Oystein Euronymous Arseth, Mayhem's founder and a black metal lightning rod, was stabbed to death at his apartment. The killer was Varg Vikernes, once collaborator, now rival. Motives, money, power, paranoia, still get traded in whispers, but the facts are stark. A late-night visit, a chase into the stairwell, and a body counted in cuts. The trial came quick.
Varg Vikernes, født 11.2.73, dømmes til en straff av fengsel i 21.
In May 1994, Vikernes received Norway's maximum 21-year sentence, with arson convictions folded in. The scene he helped ignite never shook the shadow of that staircase. No myth-making here, just a locked door, a last flight of steps, and a community forced to live with what its legends looked like up close. What makes a car ignore the night's red warnings? Just before 2 a.m., February 13, 2016, snow-dusted Södertälje's canal as a drawbridge lifted for a ship. Barriers down, lights blazing. Yet a hired Nissan swept past, plunged 80 feet, and vanished into black water. Inside, all 4 members of Warrington's Viola Beach, Chris Leonard, River Reeves, Thomas Lowe, Jack Dakin, and their manager, Craig Terry, fresh from their first overseas gig. At the inquest that December, the coroner called it an awful tragedy. Toxicology found no drugs and only small amounts of alcohol, and officials said the precise reason they breached the barriers would likely never be known. The band's debut later reached #1 in the UK, joyful riffs now carrying an icy undertow. A bridge goes up, 5 futures go under. The songs keep climbing anyway. How does a guitar solo get cut off mid-note? Columbus, Ohio, December 8, 2004. Damage plans strike the opening song at Alrosa Villa. A man in a black beanie vaults the stage, raises a 9mm, and fires. Dimebag, Daryl Abbott drops where he stands. In seconds, Security Chief Jeff Mayhem Thompson, fan Nathan Bray, and employee Aaron Hulk are also dead. Others bleed behind monitor wedges.
Suspect's going to be a male white wearing a dark collared hockey jersey. Shots still being fired.
The gunman takes a hostage until Officer James Niggemeyer slips in through a back door and ends it with a single shotgun blast. Chaos, sirens, fans screaming across a frozen parking lot. There's no lesson here neat enough for a lyric, just the weight of silence where a riff should be, and a community that still flinches when house lights snap on too fast. What happens when a warrior's lifelong battle ends with an ordinary breath? Las Vegas, June 20th, 2017. After a sweltering show on the Art of Rap tour, Mobb Deep's prodigy, Albert Johnson, 42, is hospitalized for a sickle cell flare.
You know, growing up as a child, I had to just learn. I couldn't do certain things like other kids. If I overworked my body, I was a little different.
The room is fluorescent, clinical, forgettable, until the unthinkable. The medical examiner later rules he died from accidental choking while in care. No street drama, no conspiracy, just a fatal misstep in a place built for healing. Fans replay Shook Ones Part 2.
Who wanna profile and pose? Rock you in your face, stab your brain with your nose bone. You all alone in these streets, cousin.
Hearing the grit and clarity he brought to Queensbridge life and how he turned pain into craft for decades. The man who wrote Through Agony didn't get a cinematic ending. He got a human one. He taught us to survive the cold world, verse by verse, and his voice still cuts through the static. Rest easy, P. They gave us anthems, memories, and moments we'll never forget. But their endings were as shocking as they were heartbreaking. Which of these stories stayed with you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep their music alive in our hearts. If you found this video eye-opening, please like, subscribe, and join us for more stories that uncover the untold side of fame. Thank you for watching.